Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today. Today we're taking a look at a purple Katakuri deck list I've been cooking up recently, and I've been having a lot of fun with him. Now he's not super meta. This is like the definition of an off-meta leader, but I do think he's pretty strong, especially this playstyle I've kind of been utilizing, which is just mega defense. That's what I'm calling it. It's just a mega defensive build. Again, not a super meta build, but a fun build nonetheless. If you like playing off meta leaders, if you like purple Katakuri, you should definitely give this one a try. Coincidentally, between the time that I filmed my gameplay and the time that I'm filming this deck profile, someone actually seems to have won a local with this deck in a very similar deck building style. And so even though I wasn't inspired by their list, it was just a coincidental great minds think alike at the same time type of thing. I did definitely want to shout it out. In today's video, we're going to do a deck breakdown, taking a look at all the cards in the deck. Then we're going to do a custom leader giveaway. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and then talk about it afterwards. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you're old to the channel and haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what the heck are you doing? P11 Katakuri is a 5 life, 5000 power mono purple leader. He's got the ability of when attacking or when your opponent attacks once per turn, Don -1, return 1 Don to your Don deck. Look at the top card of your opponent's deck, then give this leader plus 1000 power for the battle. Now, by the end of this game, this is a basically free leader ability because if you're always at 9 or 10 Don, you're just going to go right back to 10 Don the next turn. It's a very fair leader ability if I say so myself, but it's strong nonetheless, especially with some of the cards you can combo it with. Taking a look at the deck list, we're going to see 4 Charlotte Anana, an OP11 card. This is a 1 cost, 1000 power blocker with 1k of counter. She only has the blocker attribute if you have another purple Big Mom Pirates type card on the field as well, which is an easy condition to meet with this deck. This is a simple just chump blocker to throw on the field at various points. Next, we've got the OP11 Charlotte Pudding Searcher. 4 of these, 1 cost 0 power, 1k of counter. She's got the on play of looking at the top 5 cards of your deck and taking a cost 2 or greater Big Mom Pirates type card and add it to your hand. Then she also has the activate main ability of Don -1. You may look at the top card of your opponent's deck. Now, for the most part, I prefer using our leader ability to look at the top of our opponent's deck, but that does work a little bit as well too. Depending on the situation, you might want to use Charlotte Pudding's ability instead. Next up, I'm running 4 of the 2 cost 3000 power 1k counter Charlotte Katakuris from OP08. This is a great card to combo with the 8 cost Katakuri. Now our 2 cost Katakuri, he's got the ability of activate main. You may trash this character. If your leader is the Big Mom Pirates type, play 1 Charlotte Katakuri from your hand that has a cost of 3 or greater and then is less than or equal to the number of Don cards on your opponent's field. And this is just absolutely amazing to cheat out an 8 cost Katakuri for only 2 Don. You definitely have to be careful though if you want to play this card out a turn early to get maximum Don capabilities the next turn. There have definitely been times, and you'll see in the games, where maybe I played this out hoping that he stays on the board and then use my ability the next turn, but my opponent interacts with it, bottom decks it, KOs it before I can actually get his value from it. So just be aware of that when you use him. Next up, we're running 4 of the 3 cost 4000 power Charlotte Puddings from OP08. This combos perfectly with our leader ability, my favorite 3 Don play. Your turn, once per turn, when a Don card is removed from your field to the Don deck, you may then ramp a Don card as rested from your Don deck. This is perfect with your leader ability. On our 3 Don turn, I'm always playing this down, then I'm swinging 6000 with our leader, getting that Don right back. How can you hate that, folks? OP11 Strusen is mostly a 2k counter, but he does have some utility. 3 cost, 3000 power, nothing that special there. He has the ability of activate main once per turn, Don -1, and then rest this character. You declare the cost of the top card of your opponent's deck, and if that is the correct cost, you get to rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. This is a great way to deal with a blocker at the end of the game. I mean, even mid-game too, if the situation arises that you need to deal with a 4 cost character. Overall, mostly keeping it in my hand, but of course can use it late in the game to rest a blocker. Same thing with Usohachi here, another 2k counter that does have great late game utility. 3 cost 3000 power, 2k counter with the on play of if you have 8 or more Don, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. I am basically always saving this in my hand until the very last moment where I'm dropping this and going for game. Even though he's not Big Mom Pirates type, not searchable, definitely worth including in the deck in my opinion. Next up, I'm running 2 copies of the Mr. 2 Bond Clay, the 4 cost 1000 power 1k counter EBO1 card. Now this does allow you to ramp on the turn it's played, which is always a good time, and then he gets to copy the power of one of your opponent's characters when he attacks. Now this isn't searchable, I'm only running 2, it's just kind of a tech card to fill up a couple slots. Nothing too crazy here, he's not necessary, but I do enjoy having him. If you do not have him and don't want to buy copies of him, I definitely don't think it's a necessity for this deck. Next up, I'm running 4 copies of Charlotte Oven, a 4 cost 5000 power character with 1k of counter. He's got the ability of Activate Main. You may rest this character, call out the top card of your opponent's deck, the cost of that. If that call out was correct, you then get to KO one of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 3 or less. Then you do get to ramp a Don from your Don deck as rested. Not a lot to say about this. This is my favorite 4 Don play, especially good in the Rayleigh matchup and other matchups where they play a lot of small bodies that you can hopefully get rid of them before they even get value using his ability on your turn. I'm running 3 copies of Charlotte Parasparrow from OP11, a 5 cost 7000 power character with no counter. He's got the ability of Activate Main once per turn. You may trash 1 card from your hand, then you call out the cost of your opponent's top deck card. If that call out was correct, you get to draw a card and then ramp a Don as active. This is a really nice combination with your leader ability, getting that Don right back and ramping it as active. Then of course it's got a built-in cycle as well, so you can hopefully find the cards you need in whatever matchup you're playing. 8 cost Katakuri, the best card in this deck, no doubt. 8 cost 8000 power blocker with at the end of your turn, you may set up to 2 of your cost 3 or greater Big Mom Pirates type characters as active. Then you get to ramp a Don as rested from your Don deck. This is amazing, folks. If you can establish him while still having bodies like Charlotte Oven and Charlotte Parasparrow on the board, they are going to be so hard to kill. 8 Don is the perfect amount to leave up 2 Don for some of our counter events, which I'll talk about in a moment. Overall, this card is so good. He's amazing in purple Luffy, he's amazing in blue-purple Luffy, he's amazing in basically any purple deck just because his ability is so generically good. A couple of these on board is going to make your opponent's day really difficult. Next up, I'm running 3 copies of the 10 cost 12,000 power Charlotte Linlin. This card has the ability of if your leader has the Big Mom Pirates type, it gains Rush. Then she also has the ability of on your opponent's attack once per turn, Don -5, which is pretty crazy. Declare the cost of the top card of your opponent's deck. If that declaration was correct, you then get to give your leader plus 2,000 power for the rest of the turn. So that to me is like a last ditch effort as an emergency 2k counter for the entire turn, which is really good. But after you use that, it is going to be tough afterwards because you just went down 5 Don and that is just really steep of a price. Also, since she is 10 Don, you don't get to leave any Don up for our counter events, and that definitely feels bad. There are times when I play her out when I'm kind of in win more mode where I already think I'm ahead of the game and I can afford to just play out this 10 cost rush card. She's annoying to remove and that's great, but there are definitely times where I don't really feel like using all 10 Don on her is the best play available. So it's definitely a situational card. I like her in the deck at least as a 2 of, but I can't really say she's amazing in this deck. I don't know. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Taking a look at the events, next we have the We're Gonna Claim the One Piece. This is a 1 cost searcher that allows you to look for a Big Mom Pirates or Animal Kingdom Pirates type card, add it to your hand with the trigger of utilizing this card's effect. Another thing that makes this deck list ultra defensive is the fact that we're running 2 different counter events that I think are really relevant in the current meta. First up, we have Hell's Judgment, a 2 cost counter event with Don -1. You give up to 2 of your opponent's leaders or characters -3000 power for the turn. This is amazing into the Green Zoro matchup, of course, but it's just a generically good card. It also has the trigger of if your opponent has 6 or more Don cards, they return 1 Don to their Don deck. Solid, but not anything too crazy. The next event card I'm rocking with that I'm really enjoying is the 2 cost Nornor or Beam Sword event from OP07. This is a counter, Don -1 again. Give up to one of your leaders plus 2000 power for the battle, then rest up to one of your opponent's characters. If your opponent is not expecting this can seriously throw off their turn. That's why I really love it when you catch people off guard with it. And of course, it's just a really good card in general. Even if they expect it, it can just be hard to play around because they don't want maybe one of their other attackers to get rested. They don't want one of their blockers to get rested. Just an awkward card in general. I think in today's meta, Hell's Judgment is probably better, but I think in this deck list, there's room for both. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about both of these cards, though. They are what kind of inspired me to run this deck list, playing the 8 cost Katakuri and then having 2 Don up for Hell's Judgment and Nornor Beam Sword. And then last but not least, we have another tech slot where you can really just fit anything that you're really feeling at the moment. Right now, I have the 5 cost Ragnarok event from EBO1. This is an activate main, Don -1, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 8 or less. This is the perfect way to get rid of annoying 8 cost Dracula Mihawk, especially when you're comboing this with like a 2 cost Katakuri into an 8 cost Katakuri, and then you still have Don up for a counter event. I definitely don't think every single deck runs this or needs to run it, but personally I've just been enjoying it as a 2 of. It's only searchable off of the We're Gonna Claim the One Piece searcher, so it's not a card that you're gonna find every single deck, so maybe it gets cut, but I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this deck list as a whole, though, folks. I'm having a great time with it. Purple Katakuri is kind of an underrated leader. Again, he's not meta. He's not going to change really the way you play the game or explode your mind. I don't think so, at least, but I definitely think he's a fun time. If you like playing off meta decks, definitely give him a try. Who knows what support he gets in the future? Maybe one day he could be tier 1 or tier 1.5. I'd be down for it. Before we get into the gameplay, I do have a custom leader giveaway for you. If you're new to the channel, we do a giveaway in just about every single video. Today, I'm going to be giving away a custom Charlotte Katakuri leader, boom, using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I am not the artist. I am not selling this. It's just a fun personal fan project of mine. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as this. This video gets 30 likes in the first 24 hours. I will randomly choose a US-based commenter and send it to you completely free. That's all you have to do, folks, is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It'll make my day. I'd appreciate it a lot. All right, you're ready for the gameplay. Editor, roll the gameplay. Our first game of the day is going to be against a Red Rayleigh. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. This is going to be a great test of our deck. We run a lot of events that I think will be helpful in this matchup. Of course, like a Nora Beam Sword and Judgment of Hell. We're going to start off on the odd curve. We can do a search and we find that 3-cost Pudding, which would be nice to establish next turn. That's probably my favorite 3-Don play. 2-Don for them to work with. They'll do a Shaku Yaku search and find the Conqueror's Haki. 3-Don for us, we're playing down that Charlotte Pudding, swinging 6,000 with our leader. The top card of their deck is Kidding Killer. They are going to use Conqueror's Haki to get out of this attack, going to 7,000 power, and then we will pass it back to them. 4-Don for them to work with here. We also have that 4-cost Charlotte Oven in our hand, which is going to be really good in this matchup. That's going to allow us to pop some of their 3-cost and lower bodies. Of course, that is basically all the cards in a Red Rayleigh deck. We also have the Charlotte Parasparrow and another Searcher, which is very nice. For 4-Don, they're going to play down the Luffy from OP12, the new super rare, and then off the Luffy play the 3-cost Sanji from OP10, I believe that is, or is that OP11? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments down below, folks. Now they're going to swing 5,000 with their leader into us. I am just going to take this, add another card to our hand, and it's another 2-cost Katakuri. Not super helpful at this moment. I definitely would love to see a 2K counter. We get the Nora Beam Sword off the top of our deck. We're going to start here by playing down the Charlotte Oven, which will be a great way to get rid of some of their characters. We're going to use leader ability. We return 1 Don. We get 1 Don back with our Charlotte Pudding's effect. 6,000 into their life. They still have 5 life cards, so I'm not surprised they take that. Is there a trigger? I hope there's not a trigger. That could be a little bit awkward if there is, but there's not. We are now going to use our Charlotte Oven's ability to pop their 3-cost Sanji. That is absolutely great news for us. They do get to draw a card off that Sanji, but hey, I still think that was definitely worth it. I'll try to protect the Charlotte Oven probably, but it might be a little bit hard. We don't have a ton of counter in hand. Then with our remaining Don, we are going to play down the Charlotte Anana. It was between the Charlotte Anana, who's a blocker, and the Searcher event. The Searcher event maybe could have found us a 2K counter, but of course Anana is a blocker. I don't know if there's a right decision there, but yeah, we're in a pretty good spot. They are going to play down that Jinbei. They're going to pull some leader shenanigans, some on-play shenanigans, and swing 7,000 with the Jinbei and the Charlotte Oven. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to keep this Oven alive. I'm just debating on whether or not I should use my Charlotte Anana blocker. I'm not. Then they're going to swing 6,000 with their Monkey D. Luffy into us. We are going to take that as well. We get a 5-cost Parasparrow. That's not what we wanted to see, folks. Are we going to lose before we can even get started? Our hand is so bricky. 3 Charlotte Parasparrows is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to use the search event to try to find something. I think our best bet here is the Charlotte Anana, but again, no 2K counters is definitely crazy. I really don't know what my best option here is. Playing down the 5-cost Parasparrow maybe. I'm going to play down that Parasparrow and then swing big with my leader, giving Katakuri 1 Don, and then also using leader ability. I'm going to swing for 7,000. The question is, do I want to swing into the Luffy or do I want to swing into the Jinbei? I'm going to go with Luffy. I really feel like I need to get this off the board. I'm only swinging 1K over though, so I'm not really expecting this to be successful. If it is successful though, that's absolutely great for us. And well, I guess it is our lucky day because they will let the Luffy go. Now I'm going to use Parasparrow's ability. This is going to allow me to do a card cycle and then also gain a Don as active, which is actually really important. I have a lot of options here. I could give Charlotte Pudding a Don and swing into the Jinbei. I could play out another Charlotte and Nana, but what I decide to do is leave the 2 Don up for the Nora Beam Sword. I think this will really catch them off guard, and I'm already down to 2 life, so I really do have to be careful. We do still have that 1 Charlotte and Nana on board though, so we do have at least 1 block blocker. They're going to use leader ability to give Shaku Yaku extra 2,000 power, do some more shenanigans, then swing 4,000 with their Shaku Yaku. I imagine this must have just been a misclick or miscalculation. Nothing for me to do here on this one. Then they're going to swing with Jinbei 6,000, and here I'm actually going to use leader ability. I think it's worth it. Then we're going to 1k counter out with Bon Clay. They're going to swing 7,000 with their leader, and then we will just block with Charlotte and Nana. We didn't end up using the Nora Beam Sword, just didn't feel right there. So we keep it in hand for this turn. We also top deck the Hell's Judgment, which is pretty cool. We can use that next turn, and then that'll be pretty epic if I say so myself. I am going to play down the Charlotte and Nana and then swing using leader ability. First, I'm going to swing with Charlotte putting into the Shaku Yaku just to clear it off the board. 4,000 and 2,000, they let it go. Now I'll use Charlotte Katakuri, swing 6,000 into the Jinbei. We get that Dawn back using Charlotte Pudding's ability, 6,000 to 4,000. I'd imagine they'd let this go. I mean, they do have a couple of cards in hand, but yeah, they let that go. Now we can use Charlotte Parasparrow's ability to do a card cycle. We can get rid of that other 5-cost Parasparrow from our hand. We'll get rid of that. Then we are actually going to top deck a Usohachi, which is great to find a 2k counter here. Now we still have 9 Dawn to work with and no real amazing plays. Is it crazy if I throw out the 2-cost Charlotte Katakuri, even though I don't have an 8-cost one, just in the hopes that next turn I maybe find it? I guess I just swing big with Charlotte Parasparrow here and then leave Dawn up for Hell's Judgment and Nora Beam Sword. I could also use Usohachi to rest their Tony Chopper blocker and try to swing into it and just try to clear their board as best as possible. I think I want to keep that Usohachi in my hand though, so I'm just going to swing 9,000 into their life with our Parasparrow, giving him 2 Dawn. They will take that, and then I think I just pass it back to them. I mean, I guess I'll play out Charlotte Katakuri. That's a little bit maybe questionable because they could KO it via a couple different means, and maybe I want to keep the counter, but if I do top deck an 8-cost Katakuri, that's going to be really clutch. The fact that I can cheat it out for only 2 Dawn, or not even 2 Dawn, I've already done the investment, so the turn I play it out, it will be basically free. They're going to play out the 4-cost Luffy into 3-cost Sanji into 4-cost Kid and Killer. This is about to be a wicked turn for them, but they don't realize I have 2 event cards in my hand. They're going to swing 7,000 with the Kid and Killer. This I can... Ooh, what's the correct order for me to do here? Hell's Judgment or Nora Beam Sword? I guess I'll go with Hell's Judgment first because the math works out really well. We're going to use that to push them down to 4,000 and then push their leader down to 2,000. That's good news for us. Then they're still going to be able to swing with the Tony Chopper blocker if they wanted. They don't want to though, so they are just going to pass it back to us. My priority here should be getting rid of that Kid and Killer. The question is, do I want to establish that 10-cost Lin? I don't think I do, because then I'm not going to have enough Dawn up for the Nora Beam Sword, and that's such a priority for me. I'm considering playing the Usohachi here just to clear one of their other characters, and that's what I'm going to do. I do have to give them a 2k counter for my hand, but I think we're okay with that. Now I'm going to swing 8,000 into their rested Luffy that is rested with the Usohachi. We can do the leader ability to get us to 8,000. We're not going to use Charlotte Pudding's ability because we will actually want to restand Dawn using our Parasparrow's ability. They're going to block with the Tony Chopper to keep that Monkey D. Luffy alive. Now we are going to use Parasparrow's ability. We get the Charlotte Oven, which is a very interesting top deck. That'll actually let us pop their 3-cost Sanji if we so desire. I'm not sure yet if we want to play that out, but we could. And then just pop their Sanji, which sounds like a pretty good deal to me. That's what we're going to end up doing. We're going to play it over the Usohachi, and then we can rest the Charlotte Oven and pop their Sanji. They are going to be able to draw a card, which is not ideal, but it's going to take some pressure off us. Then I am going to pass it back to them. 2 Dawn cards up for our Nora Beam Sword. I wouldn't say we're in a winning position just yet, but I do think we've turned this game around a little bit. They're going to start off right away using leader ability to give plus 2,000 power to their Monkey D. Luffy. Then they're going to play down a Kid and Killer for 4 Dawn. Then use Divine Departure to pop our Charlotte Parasparrow. Swing 5,000 into us with leader. But because they ordered it that way, we are going to be able to use Nora Beam Sword and then rest their Kidding Killer or their Monkey D. Luffy. I don't think it terribly matters. Technically, resting their Kidding Killer makes more sense because the Kidding Killer will swing for 7,000. They still have a 6,000 power swing with their Luffy, though. They're actually going to go into our life with that. I might use my leader ability here and then trash the Charlotte Katakuri as 1k counter. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go up to 6,000, then trash the Charlotte Katakuri 1k counter to get out of that. Passing it back to us, 10 Don for us to work with. We don't really have an amazing play from our hand or anything. I don't think it makes sense to play either of these cards out. At least they're 2k counters. But we can most likely clear their board depending on what they have in their hand. We're going to start off with a 7,000 power swing into their Kidding Killer with our Charlotte Pudding. Just throwing a bunch of Don on our characters. They will let that go. Now we're going to give Don to our 2-cost Katakuri and be really crazy. We'll swing 5,000 into their 4,000 power Monkey D. Luffy. They are going to counter out of that one, but that's no problem at all. We're just getting cards out of their hand at this point. We're going to give 1 Don to our Charlotte Oven and then swing 6,000 into that Luffy now. Only 2 cards left in hand. They will let it go. Now we can swing 8,000 with our Charlotte Katakuri into their life. I'm going to leave 2 Don up as active in case we get a Hell's Judgment or Noronoro Beam Sword from our life. Passing it back to them, 10 Don for them to work with. They're going to start out with the 2-cost Boa Searcher from OP12, finding the OP12 Monkey D. Luffy. They're going to play it right out. They show us 2 event cards from their hand and play out the 1-cost Buggy Searcher. This Buggy allows them to search for an event card. They will find one. They find the Armament Hockey. You got to be careful of that. They're going to tap the remaining 4 Don and use Gum Gum Mulgun. Unfortunately, though, they won't get Mulgun's effect of KOing one of my characters because they do not have a character with 6,000 power. They could have gotten it if they used Boa's ability by trashing her and giving 2 Don to the Luffy. That is just a tough break, folks. At this point in the game, we're 7 turns in. This is a long game, and yeah, that's just mental fatigue, folks. They weren't able to remove the Charlotte Oven because we did just block with our Charlotte and Nana. We can do the 1-cost Searcher event here. While the 10-cost Linlin is a little bit tempting here, I think we have to go with the 8-cost Katakuri just to play as defensive as possible. We might even be able to go for game if we really attach Don. That is a little bit risky, though. We're just going to start off with a 6,000 power swing from our leader into their life. We can use Charlotte Pudding to get that Don back, of course. They will have the event card that gets them to 7,000 now. We can pop their Boa with our Charlotte Oven. The fact that this Oven stayed on the board is absolutely huge for us. Then I'm thinking we just give Don to our Charlotte Katakuri and Charlotte Pudding and just put a lot of pressure on their life. We aren't going to go for game here, but we should be safe to put a little bit of pressure on them. We can do a 7,000 power swing with our 2-cost Charlotte Katakuri here. They will take that. And this is probably greedy and not the smartest play, but I'm going to play down the Uso Hachi and then swing into the Buggy with our Charlotte Pudding. We are going to still be able to cheat out the 8-cost Katakuri off of our 2-cost Katakuri. We're going to swing 6,000 into 3,000 here just to get their body off the board. But while doing that, I was giving up a 2k counter from my hand. And so that is definitely a little bit questionable. If they have a ton of rush cards this turn, they might actually be able to get the job done. Like if they had 2 Kidding Killers right here, this would be pretty rough for us, folks. It doesn't look like they have it, though. We are able to restand 2 of our characters with our Charlotte Katakuri 8-cost effect. They're going to power up their Luffy and their leader, but depending on what they have, if they can't kill us here, then we've got this in the bag for next turn. With Carving Hoof Cherry Blossom Blizzard, they're able to pop our Uso Hachi. That is not a big deal at all. Then for 4 Don, they're going to play down the 4-cost Tony Chopper Blocker. 3 Don left up still for them to work with. They're going to give 2 of it to Rayleigh. They're able to power up their Luffy again using Luffy's ability. 8,000 into our life with their Rayleigh. I think we're fine to take this and then possibly just block and counter the Luffy swing. 8,000 into 5,000. We are going to take that. Is there a trigger? There is a trigger. We get the Ragnarok trigger. Unfortunately, Ragnarok's trigger is only to add a Don as active. It's not to use its main effect, so I'm not going to use the trigger. Then I'll just take that Monkey D. Luffy swing because I don't think at this point it really matters. I should be a little bit more careful, though. I'm going to just go for game here. I could pop the Tony Chopper with our Ragnarok, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to swing 7,000 first with our Charlotte Oven. They'll either have to block or take this. They'll take it. Now we can swing 8,000 with our Charlotte Katakuri leader. Just swinging 8,000 is whatever. They'll block that with their Tony Chopper, and then we can swing big with our 8-cost Charlotte Katakuri. We had the numbers there, folks. GG's. That was a long Rayleigh game. Normally games against Rayleigh are not that long, folks. Probably not the best played on either party's side, but hey, we got the job done. GG's. Now we've got a game against Blue Kuzan, another OP12 leader. We are going to be on the odd curve again, starting off with a Charlotte Pudding search. We find the 4-cost Charlotte Oven. We couldn't find that 3-cost Charlotte Pudding that we love to find. Then we're going to pass it back to them for 2 Don to work with. They've got no plays. 3 Don here. We can do the 1-cost event search, which I like that idea. We could do that and possibly find some other bodies to play later on. The 5-cost Parosphero would be a nice card to find. We don't find that, but we do find the 3-cost Charlotte Pudding. Unfortunately, we won't be able to play it out this turn, so we'll just have to swing 7,000 with our leader into their life. 7,000 into their life. We're not going to use leader ability. I imagine they'll take this, and they do. I'll pass it back to them. 4 Don for them to work with. They'll start off right away, swing 5,000 into our life. We will take that. We do have to be a little bit cautious of a Charlotte Pudding in case they run that card. We don't want to develop too big of a hand size. They'll play down a Sengoku to do a card cycle and draw. They're going to find a Borsalino from OP05. That is the bottom deck one. And then the Sewer from OP06. We're going to play out the Charlotte Oven here and then just do a leader swing for 7,000. Hopefully there's no trigger. Of course, if they run Gravity Blade, if they run Red Rock, our Oven could get bottom decked before we even get any value from him. We'll probably use his ability here. We'll be able to pop that Sengoku. Might as well, I guess. It could also turn him into a little bit of a pseudo blocker, so maybe my opponent will swing into him instead of our life. 6 Don for them to work with here. They're going to start off by giving 1 Don to their leader, swinging 6,000 into our life. I'm thinking that we counter out of this. If we don't counter out of it, we'll be at 8 cards in hand, and that would be a very nice pudding play for them to drop the 4-cost pudding if they do run it. They're going to play the 4-cost Borsalino blocker and then the 1-cost Tashigi doing a search. They find the OP12 7-cost Sakazuki. 7 Don for us to work with. No amazing plays here, which is definitely a bummer. Four-cost character or less, which they will play out now, and bottom deck are Katakuri. That's a bummer, though. At least we still have the Charlotte and Nana and the Oven. They're going to swing 5,000 into the Oven with their leader. This is tempting to counter out of just to keep a body on the board. And so I am going to do that. I'll get rid of our extra 3-cost Charlotte Pudding. They could swing with their Borsalino, but I feel like they won't. And that is right. They are not going to swing with the Borsalino. We are definitely not in an ideal position right now. They are starting to develop a pretty solid board. And so far, we don't really have much to answer with. We will be able to play an 8-cost Katakuri this turn, which is great, but not like super crazy or anything. They're going to counter out of that Charlotte Oven swing. Now we're going to swing with our leader, 6,000 power. They will take that, and then we'll play down the 8-cost Katakuri. Restanding our Charlotte Oven at the end of our turn is nice. We only have 3 cards in hand. This might not end well for us, folks. We'll see. They're at 10 Don now. We know they have at least that OP12 7-cost Sakazuki in their hand, which would be a nice card for them to play. They're going to start off right away swinging 8,000 with their Borsalino into our life. I think it makes sense to block this with Charlotte and Nana. They could have a Gravity Blade Raging Tiger or another means to remove a small body like that, and so I want to make sure I get some value out of her. Now they're going to swing 8,000 with Garp. This one I'm leaning towards taking. I really hope they don't have the Red Rock to bounce our 8-cost Charlotte Katakuri. If they do, that's going to be really bad news for us, but we'll see. We will take that life, and we get the 4-cost Charlotte Oven. Not an amazing card to find right now. They're going to have the 6-cost Kuzan to prevent our 8-cost Katakuri from attacking next turn. That is very solid. 4 Don left up for them. They're going to rest 3 to do another Sengoku card search / cycle, trashing a pudding from their hand. They do not need that anymore. Look at my hand size, folks. This is bad news for us. And then they're going to be able to draw a couple cards off of the Sengoku and their leader ability. Now they'll swing 5,000 with their leader. I can free block this with our 8 cost Katakuri, or I can just use leader ability and return a Don. It doesn't really make a difference, so we'll get out of that. And now they pass it back to us. 10 Don for us to work with here. We're just going to put pressure on their life, kind of ignore their board. We have to. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power oven swing into their life. They've got a ton of cards in hand, so I feel like it's going to be hard to finally go for lethal. We're going to swing 6,000 now with our Charlotte Katakuri leader, getting a Don back from Charlotte Pudding. They're going to block this with their Borsellino blocker and then give us a 1k counter to keep the Borsellino blocker alive. Now I'm just going to establish more blockers. I'm going to play another 8 cost Katakuri and a 1 cost Charlotte Anana and pass it back to them, restanding our oven. This is quite a wall of defense, folks. Of course, I think they're in a fine position to get around it, either by removal like Gum Gum Red Rock, Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, or just swinging simply a lot of big swings into our life. We don't have a lot of cards in hand, 2 1Ks and a 2K counter. For 7 Don, they're going to play on the 7 cost Sakazuki, draw a couple cards, give it Don to their leader. They are in a very nice spot to just pressure us this turn. They're going to throw 2 Don on their leader, swing 7,000 into our life. This, I think we should free block with the 8 cost Katakuri. They still have big swings with their Garp, Borsellino, and Kuzan. Now an 8,000 power swing with their Garp into our life. We will take that, getting the 1 cost Charlotte Pudding Searcher. 8,000 into our Charlotte Katakuri with their Borsellino. This I am going to 1k counter out of. Then they're going to swing another 8,000 into that Katakuri, and I am going to counter out of this one as well with another Charlotte Oven 1k counter. You know, there's something to be said about maybe they should have just ignored that Katakuri and swung into my life. I don't think that would have been crazy of them, just to pressure on our life more and go for game sooner rather than later. We're going to swing 5,000 into their leader with our Charlotte Pudding, just an easy 5,000 power swing that they could even free block with Borsellino if they wanted to. Now we're going to do a 1 cost Charlotte Pudding search. Off the Charlotte Pudding, we don't really find anything amazing. We get the 10 cost Linlin, but we won't be able to play it this turn. Maybe I should have taken the Charlotte Anana. That was probably a mistake just to get another blocker, but I do kind of feel like I have to put a lot of pressure on them this turn. Now I'm going to swing big with the Charlotte Oven. I'm going to do an 8,000 power swing into their life, just ignoring their board. I mean, I could swing into their board, but what are the chances that they don't have the counter to get out of 1k or 2k higher swings? Very low. So I'm just going to go into their life, force them to give us cards from hand, or take the hits and go down to 0. They're going to use the Ice Block Pheasant Peck to get out of this first swing. They're up to 9,000 power. Now I'll use leader ability and swing 8,000 with our Charlotte Katakuri leader into their life. If they have another Ice Block Pheasant Peck, they're going to be able to get out of this as well. And because of their leader ability, that trashed card, they get right back as they get to draw a card. So that feels kind of bad. It's a little bit less strong of a Gum Gum Giant, but still strong, no doubt. Now we're going to start putting pressure on their board just to hopefully get 1 or 2 things off of it. We're going to swing 9,000 into the Kuzan. They counter out of it with the 2k counter, but at least we're slowly whittling down their hand size. Maybe that was a mistake and I should have just swung leader. I am going to swing leader with our second Katakuri and it will hit. We'll put them down to 1 life. We're going to be able to restand all of our characters and then we'll pass it back to them, leaving 2 down up even though we don't have an event card yet. Maybe we find one from our life. Hopefully we do. That might be our only chance at winning this game. They're going to start off right away with an 8,000 power swing from their Garp. We will block that with the Charlotte Anana. Next up is a 9,000 power swing with their Borsellino into our life. I'm leaning towards taking this. And we get the Uso Hachi, which is a 2k counter and could be used to go for game next turn if they don't finish us off here. 9,000 with their Kuzan into us. We are going to take that as well. This is a little bit risky. We get the Event Searcher off of life, and this is huge for us, folks. Unfortunately, we can't take Norn or a Beam Sword. That is a complete bummer, but at least we can get a 2k counter Struzen. We could also take the 4 cost Oven if we wanted to pop a 3 cost character. The Ragnarok could also be used to pop a character, but I think Struzen's definitely the move here, just a 2k counter. Nothing too crazy here. And then they still have at least 3 more swings between their Sakazuki, their leader, and their Borsellino. They're just going to go 8,000, it looks like, with Sakazuki into our life. We can free block this with one of our Charlotte Katakuris. I think that is definitely the move here. Or we can counter out even. Maybe this is all part of their plan and they want me to block this and counter with the 8 cost Charlotte Katakuri, but we're going to walk right into it. Even if that was their intention, we're going to block and 1k counter out of that. They'll rest 7 Don and play out another 7 cost Borsellino to bottom deck our Oven. A solid play, no doubt, but is that going to be enough? They are going to now swing 6,000 with their leader into our life, which will free block with our 8-cost Katakuri. 1 Don left up. They do have that Borsellino blocker. I might just have to throw down the Usohachi and see if I can get the numbers right. That's what I'm going to do, folks. We're going to do a little bit of a Hail Mary here. We're going to play down Usohachi to rest their Borsellino blocker. Now I've got to try to decide what the optimal swing numbers are. We're going to start off with a 9,000 power swing with our leader, 9,000 into 5,000. Then we can do two 10,000 power swings if we want, or we could do a 9,000 and 11,000 power swing. They will take that one. Now we're just going to go 10,000 with our Charlotte Katakuri. One of our Charlotte Katakuri blockers will go 10,000 into their life. They've got a Don up. Do they have the Ice Block Pheasant Peck? They do. They're able to get to 9,000. Do a card cycle. Do they have a 2K? They do. And so now it all comes down to this, folks, a 10,000 power swing. Do they have 3 2Ks in their hand? That is the question. Moment of truth. They've got one. They've got 1K of counter. They got another 1K. That is going to be game. GG's. I can't believe we battled back and won that. Our next game is going to be against a green Zoro. This will be an interesting matchup for sure. We're going to mulligan that first hand, but I kind of question if I should have. We did have those 2 counter events, which I specifically want to use in this matchup, so that's a little bit not ideal, but I was looking for something more, and I think this next hand is pretty solid as well. We're going to start out on the odd curve, playing down that 3-cost 4,000 power Charlotte Pudding and popping their Hiyori. 4 Don for them to work with here. They're going to play out the starter deck 12 Mihawk into the 4-cost Arlong. The Arlong prevents our leader from attacking. Then they're going to swing 5,000 into our life with their leader. We will take this. It is tempting to maybe 1K counter out of, but we'll take it. We get the Event Searcher trigger, which is good news for us. We could take the Charlotte Anana or a 2-cost Charlotte Katakuri. Either of them would be great choices. I'm leaning towards the Katakuri just because if I can combo that with an 8-cost Katakuri, that'll be so strong. Unfortunately, we have to put 2 Hell's Judgments at the bottom of our deck. Now we're going to start off with an Event Search, looking for... neither of these are great. We'll take the 2K counter, though. That's better than nothing. No great 4-Don play for us, I'd say. I'm just going to play down another 3-cost Charlotte Pudding and then a 1-cost Charlotte Anana. Hopefully one of those Charlotte Puddings will stay alive through this next turn so we can start taking advantage of her ability. And then, of course, Charlotte Anana, just a nice little chump blocker. For 5 Don, they're going to have this TCG resting our 3-cost 4,000 power Pudding. They'll clear that with their Arlong, and then they're going to swing 8,000 into our life. They should have swung with their leader into the Pudding and not the Arlong, because then they would have been able to swing the Arlong into our life as well. Little bit of a misplay there, folks. Passing it back to us, I'm going to start out with a 1-cost Pudding Searcher. Gotta go with the 8-cost Charlotte Katakuri. The others are tempting, though, especially that 5-cost Charlotte Parasparrow. The fact that I could establish it this turn is tempting. So maybe I should go with that instead, and I will. I need to establish a bigger body and put some additional pressure on them. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give 1 Don to our leader. I'll be able to swing 7,000 into their Arlong using leader ability and the Charlotte Pudding. Then I'll be able to establish that 5-cost 7,000 power Charlotte Parasparrow, which is not too shabby of a body. Bottom decking the Charlotte Katakuri 8-drop, though, is definitely a bummer, but I think I made the right play. You can let me know in the comments, though, if you disagree. Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm washed. Tell me I'm cooked. I do not mind at all. 8 Don for them to work with here. They're going to start off by playing the 4-drop Kuina, resting our 3-drop Pudding. They're going to give 3 Don to their leader. They can play another Kuina too to rest our Anana. That is pretty crazy. They're going to swing 6,000 with Arlong into Anana. Of course, I'm going to let that go. Now they're going to swing 11,000 into our Pudding. Going to let that go again. They can swing 7,000 now with their Tashigi, which I will take, and then 11,000 with their Zora, which I will take as well. We get the Norno or Beam Sword, which is absolutely awesome. We've got 2 of them in our hand now. By utilizing the 2-cost Katakuri in our hand, we'll be able to establish an 8-cost Katakuri and leave up 4 Don for 2 Norno or Beam Swords if I so choose. Now we're going to start off right away playing down the 2-cost Katakuri and then using his ability to play out the 8-cost Katakuri. 7 Don for us still to work with here. I should definitely play out the 1-cost Charlotte Pudding Searcher, I'd say, and just see what else we can find. Before I do that, though, I will swing 7,000 with Parasparrow into their Arlong, and we do get that to go. That is good news for us. Next, I'm going to do an 8,000 power leader swing into their Tashigi. The fact that they only have 2 cards in hand means it's very easy for us to remove their characters. Now it's time for a 1-cost Pudding Search. Before I do that, though, I'm wondering if I should clear one of their Kuinas, and I will. I'll swing 1,000 with our Pudding Searcher already on the field and clear it. then we will play down, or should I even bother playing down the Charlotte Pudding Searcher? That is the question. Should I leave 4 Dawn up for 2 Nora Beam Swords? I think that might be dramatic. I don't think I need 4 Dawn up for those. Maybe just 2 for one of them is going to be fine. Off the Charlotte Pudding, we do find the 2k counter, which is good, and then I guess leave 3 Dawn up. And with our 8 cost Katakuri's effect, we're going to be able to restand that Parasparrow as active, and then ramp a Dawn as rested. 10 Dawn for them here. They do have the 8 cost Mihawk finally. They're able to establish that. They'll use Kuina's ability to give 3 rested Dawn to their leader. They'll throw more Dawn on their leader, swinging 11,000 straight into our life. I'm actually going to be a little bit crazy and counter out of this. The reason I am going to do that is so I can use the Nora Beam Sword and rest their Dracul Mihawk too. And if I'm going to use the Nora Beam Sword to rest their Mihawk, I might as well just go all the way here. We're up to 8,000, and then we're also going to give them a 2k and another 2k. They will be able to restand their leader using their restand event. That's fine. We'll take it. Now we're going down to 0 life, which is definitely scary. They're going to swing 4,000 now with Mihawk into our Pudding Searcher. Even though I don't really need the Pudding, I can free block it with the 8 cost Kata, so I might as well. Passing it to us, we're at 9 Dawn. This is not looking great for us, folks. Let's see what we can find. Off the Event Searcher, we find a Charlotte Inanna. We find an 8 cost Katakuri. I'm going to go with the Inanna Chump Blocker here. Next, I'll just clear the 3 cost Mihawk with our leader, swinging 6,000 into it with our leader ability. Of course, they have to let it go. They only have 1 card in hand. Then I'm going to, should I try to clear this 8 cost Mihawk too? That would be ideal. We're going to be able to use the Parasparrow's ability to get a Dawn back as active. And when you look at that, we top deck another Charlotte Inanna. So we are really going to be able to block her up here. I am going to use the Ragnarok event to pop the Dracul Mihawk, which is great. We can also get rid of this Kuina to prevent them from resting our characters. Then I'm going to swing 8,000 with our 8 cost Kata into their life. They will take that, and we are just going to set up a bunch of blockers, leaving 2 Dawn up for a Nora Beam Sword, which isn't our preferred event right now, but definitely solid nonetheless. Passing it back to them, they're going to start out with a Hiyori search. They will find the Dead Man's Game event. Then they're just going to throw a bunch of Dawn on their leader, swing twice into us. They're going to swing 13,000 into our leader. We'll block with Charlotte Inanna. Then they get to restand their leader, and we'll block with our another Charlotte Inanna. First up, I'm going to swing and clear this Hiyori with our Charlotte Pudding Searcher herself. Next, I'm going to swing with our leader using leader ability. I need to hopefully find a card off of Charlotte Parasparrow's ability. I'm going to do that after I swing with my leader, so I can swing 6,000. I do have to return a Dawn that is active, which is a bummer, but now I can use Parasparrow's ability, do a card cycle. Hopefully I find something useful. This is the moment of truth, folks. What do we get? We get the Usohachi, which isn't super useful right now, but it's a 2k counter at least. I don't know if we're going to be able to survive this next turn. It might be the end of the road for us. Now we're going to swing with our 8 cost Charlotte Katakuri, 9,000 into their life. They take that, and I am just going to pass with 9 Dawn up. It's kind of ridiculous, but alas, I don't really have any other good plays. I think I need to keep every single counter card in my hand for what I have. They're going to start out with a 12,000 power swing with their leader. Unfortunately, it looks like they probably have the restand event too, so they're probably going to be able to swing 3 times. This is definitely a bummer for sure. I can counter out of this, but it doesn't really make a difference because I am going to have to get out of their next swing, and with their next swing, I'll have to block, and then that'll let them restand their leader. RIP, GG's, that was a close one. That was a really tough matchup. I really thought we would do better into it, but that opening hand just wasn't ideal, folks. We didn't see what we needed to see. GG's, though. And ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. How do you feel about this leader? Did I change your mind at all? Did I just confirm your opinions on him? Is he mid? Is he cool? Is he goated? I think he's solid. I think he's a good time. You should definitely give him a try. Check out this list on the sim. I would love to hear your feedback on it. If you made it this far in the video, you're an absolute real one. Shout out to you. If this video gets 30 likes in the first 24 hours, I'm giving away that custom purple Katakuri leader. So give this video a like, leave a comment, and you might win it. Who knows? Regardless of that, though, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. This has been a Johnny TCG video. Peace.